And welcome back to Blue Jays Today. And today, guys, it's the first day of the offseason, and we've got our first big move from the Toronto Blue Jays. Longtime hitting coach after 6 seasons, Guillermo Martinez has been fired. We're going to give you our breakdown and reaction to this move coming from the Toronto Blue Jays, and to talk about also, is there any more moves left to make with this staff? Because we all know Guillermo Martinez isn't the only problem that we got here on the Toronto Blue Jays. But before we do, guys, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Blue Jays Today. Wow, first things first, Guillermo Martinez is gone. Initial reaction when it popped up on your phone that the Blue Jays made this move, Nick. What were you thinking?
Well, I thought that this was long overdue. And I went to Twitter immediately, obviously, and saw a lot of the reactions, and there was a lot of excitement among Blue Jays fans, which is honestly, like, that sucks for Guillermo Martinez, because it's like literally people are cheering at the fact that you're gone. But I think it's more about the fact that they actually did something at all, right? We were live earlier today discussing how Mark and Ross are going to be having their press conference, end-of-year presser this Wednesday, and we were speculating on the lack of anything going down, right? Like, this organization has a tendency to do the bare minimum. Now, I do want to be very clear. I think that if this is the only internal staff movement that they make, it's as close to the bare minimum as you can get. However, that being said, this is absolutely something that needed to happen. It needed to happen last year. We are a year overdue, but I'm happy that at the very least we are there now.
Yeah, we'll talk about what other moves are going to come, but like first things first, like this is definitely, like Nick was saying, well overdue. You've got some stats coming here from Josh Goldberg. You could look at it from year to year. Overall runs just going down. We were one of the best offensive teams, if not the best, in 2021. Granted, you could also make the argument we had a lot of good talent, and I hate to use that word because you heard a lot from Ross Atkins, but we did. We truly did. Marcus Semien, George Springer at his prime. You had the Lord. You had Teoscar Hernandez. You had MVP2 Vlad. Like, you had Bo Bichette was amazing. You had a lot of great guys on that ball club doing great things. The catching duo was phenomenal. So obviously they scored a ton of runs, but then you had some guys leave the team, and also you started to see the runs go down. However, you started to also see some other guys regress a lot. Maybe it was age, or maybe it wasn't. George Springer started to regress heavily. Alejandro Kirk regressed heavily. It felt like guys who popped off and came to the league like David Schneider all of a sudden could not make an adjustment anymore to save their life. And part of that is on the hitting coach, Guillermo Martinez. And so for me, yes, was it overdue? For sure, but this was the absolute nail in the coffin, because you saw 2023, the runs were going down. I think we were 14th in baseball in runs total scored, so that was a big drop-off, and maybe the manager was thinking, okay, maybe it was just, hey, we had one bad year, and it's like, let's see if we can bounce back. Clearly not. This year was the year, and he was fired.
Yes, and I do need to give Guillermo Martinez some credit where credit is due, right? Because in 2021, when we had arguably the most dominant offense that we've had in a long period of time, that was under Guillermo Martinez. That was him. He was the guy. He was the hitting coach right there. And of course, we did have some talented guys in Marcus Semien and others. But you could also make the argument that he brought out the best in those players. And he certainly did for, at the very least, that season and potentially 2022 as well, because we were still pretty dominant in 2022 there as well. The last couple years, it has just been going downhill. And I do think that Guillermo Martinez has a lot to offer at the major league level, but this is a team where changes need to be made. If you're still employing the same strategies that you were employing in 2021, I can assure you that they are no longer working, whether that be because the league has adjusted or the players and the personnel that you have right now, just that strategy does not work with them. I don't know. This is not my job to figure out. It is your job to figure out. And at this point, that hasn't been done. So I think that Guillermo Martinez is still a good coach. It's not all of his fault that this offense all of a sudden fucking sucked. However, I do think that the Blue Jays needed to move on regardless.
Yeah, I think a large part is personnel, but you can obviously, for me, it's very clear when I look at the lack of adjustments that were being made. And when I heard of players making adjustments on the field, it wasn't coming from the mouth of Guillermo Martinez. I didn't hear that guy's. Did you ever hear that guy's name once, other than from Blue Jay fans?
I rarely saw him. I
rarely saw him. I had no. And again, this is just from an outsider looking in. But the adjustments I did see, I can have a few guys on top of my tongue. Or I got Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Guess where he got his adjustments from? Himself, his dad, And that was vocalized. And guess what? Spencer Horwitz, he came up, had a rough patch. Guess where he got his adjustments from? Matt Haig, which might be the next hitting coach, honestly. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Other adjustments around the clubhouse, Addison Barsher, guess where he got that from? Matt Haig, that's why I bring up his name again. I did not hear once Guillermo Martinez do anything, and probably because either A, he lost the respect of the people in the clubhouse, or B, it just wasn't working. How many times have you seen fastballs upstairs and we're chasing after it and we can't hit it, right? Hitting coaches are not just strategic guys. They're fundamental coaches, mechanical coaches. They need to be in there watching them getting beat and making the necessary adjustments. And he was not doing that from time to time. And I was banging my head against the wall all year when I saw Davis Schneider, and I'm just giving him as an example because he obviously struggled for a large part of the year. I was banging my head against the wall. Why isn't no one talking to this guy about getting to the upstairs fastball? Why is it that we're still letting this guy rot and his numbers go down? So Guillermo Martinez, it's happened 2 years in a row now where our numbers, 3 years in a row where our numbers have gone down. Wasn't all your fault, but a large part, I think, might be.
Well, yeah, exactly. And it's always the question about how much blame gets put on the players, how much blame gets put on, the hitting coach, because you do wonder, like, how much outside influence. Like, I hear here from Shai Davidi that, I know that you were saying that, yes, Guerrero took a lot from his dad, but apparently they did work closely together. So, I don't know how much, Guillermo Martinez had to do with Vladdy having a resurgent season, because then you could also argue, well, how much did he have to do with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. kind of falling off in 22 and 23? But either way, a change was absolutely needed for the Toronto Blue Jays. And frankly, I think that more changes need to be made. I see a lot of people in the comments right now talking about Don Mattingly and how it's time for him also to go. And I would agree with you, right? Like, I don't know what he does as an offensive coordinator.
What is an offensive coordinator in baseball?
I watched
no one knows.
somebody do that for an entire year. I literally watched somebody have that role for 162 games. I still could not tell you what that means. And that's not a good thing. I should know by now what you do on a day-to-day basis. I don't. And I think that because that is the case, it is probably time for you to move on. And there can be some, comparisons made where it's like, oh, you bring in Don Mattingly, all of a sudden we really go downhill. Maybe there's something to be said there. So I think that he's probably got to go. You know that we've been extremely vocal about Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro. However, I would argue that with this move being made, it feels to me like they are almost 100% staying put, at the very least for now. Because if they're going to be making the calls on these guys going,
right,
then I think that they're kind of locked in.
I mean, yeah, those guys are definitely locked in at this point. I hate it. I don't want it to happen, but they definitely are locked in. And you know what? Like, I kind of like this move in another way, because I'm even reading this right here, and that was apologies on me. I actually didn't know that Martinez. This is the first time I'm hearing that Martinez worked with Guerrero on his swing. Never have I heard that, so that's my bad. Maybe the media didn't help me out with that, but that's my first time hearing it. But here's also why I think he should go. Martinez is part of a layered hitting group that included offensive coordinator Don Mattingly, assistant coaches Hunter Mentz, and Matt Haig. Why do we have 4 voices getting in these guys' head? Like, it's bad enough that these guys are dealing with voices in their own head. Why are you putting 4 voices? Unless you're all preaching the exact same thing, what are we doing, right? I feel like by putting so many different voices in people's heads, who do you turn to if you're struggling? Who do I listen to if I'm struggling? It's like hell. It's like when I'm on the effing driving range, there's my dad saying one thing, there's my mom saying another. Well, who the hell do I they're both contradicting each other. What am I doing? I think this is about time that we got to start shaving off and getting it very simplified, because adding in more people clearly didn't help this year. And yeah, can we also learn what the hell Don Mattingly does for this team? Because
Right.
I'm wondering what the next move is, right? Is the next move, are we now making Don Mattingly the hitting coach? Are we making Matt Haig the hitting coach? Is everyone's kind of just staying the same and we don't have a hitting coach? I want to know what my next move is, and that's something I'm looking forward to on Wednesday, hearing from Ross and Mark.
Like for me, I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I guess there's players that in the building know a lot more than I do. I would, from an outsider looking in, not really want somebody who is already associated with the Toronto Blue Jays. Like, I would like somebody to come from another organization, preferably an organization that hits the baseball really well and really consistently and continues to come up with prospects that just do it time and time and time again, because whomsoever does that seems like somebody that I want running the show over here. I don't think that Don Mattingly should be the guy. I know you're bringing up Matt Haig. I'll be honest, I still don't know enough about him to be like, okay, like you're our guy. Maybe they know a lot more about him than me.
It's only 1 year of Matt Haig, and he's just an assistant, so I feel like the heat won't be on him. Whereas, and I feel like they're going to do the same way with Don Mattingly, where it's 1 year of him as the offensive coordinator. Granted, his second year with the team because he was a kind of special manager. I even forget his role last year. It was a weird one. But now he's the offensive coordinator, so I feel like they're going to be lenient and patient with that role, whatever the hell that means. But if we're going that route of bringing somebody else in, which I'm totally down with, I think you got to scrap everybody else's voice and make that the prominent voice.
Sure, and I mean, he's got to come in. Whomsoever you bring in, they got to come in and they got to command that room. Because I don't mind having multiple different eyeballs looking at it, but you need to have a firm, hierarchy of who is calling the shots here, and everybody's got to understand their role perfectly well, right? The ship's got to be tight, and I don't know if Guillermo Martinez ran a tight ship with his multiple different guys. I don't know if they even know what Don Mattingly fucking does, let alone can they run the ship, Right. You can have a couple different guys all working together, but if the head dude isn't, running that tight ship, then it's not going to work out well. And again, I do not believe that Guillermo Martinez was doing so. Yeah. So ultimately, I like this move. I think we both can say that we like this move as a first domino. I tweeted this out just a little bit ago, everybody. Yeah, you got it up there. All right, we fired Guillermo Martinez. Now, all we need is a new manager, a new GM, a Vladdy extension, multiple additions to the lineup, multiple additions to the bullpen, another starter, and a couple top prospects, and then we'll have a perfect offseason. So, yes, this is a nice first move, but there are a lot of other dominoes that need to go here. And I fucking know that the Toronto Blue Jays, they're going to want to, make this the big headline.
This is the scapegoat.
Thing. And it's we did it. We altered the coaching staff. We made the internal adjustments. Everyone else can keep their jobs. And that's going to piss me off, man. That's going to piss me off.
And it will happen, guys. I would be shocked if we see another move, because if there was another move, I think we probably would have heard it by now. They would have just had a collection of moves. In my experience watching sports, it'd be you're gone, because everybody was firing everybody today. I mean, congrats to Buster Posey being the new president of the San Francisco Giants. That's lit.
That is cool.
Not to get off topic,
and
but
also, shout out to the San Francisco Giants
for making the move. They've been idling for years.
Yes.
Go kill the president.
Exactly.
Not kill, but
you
chop the head off.
Get rid of them, right? Because we've been saying for a long period of time right now that it almost feels like they're the parallel over there in the National League. Tough division, big market, always in on the big free agents, never really locking them down, and always kind of underachieving, being in the mix, but never really being a top threat. They said enough's enough, and they got rid of that guy, and now they're bringing in Buster Posey.
That's amazing. Let's bring in Russell Martin.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that would be our equivalent if we even had one, right? But, I love that they're going out and doing that, and I would imagine if you're a San Francisco Giants fan, you would love that.
Right.
This feels like, for lack of a better term, the pussy version of that. And I'm kind of tired of doing that way of things. So
me too.
I like it, but I do need to see some more stuff going down.
Yeah, it feels like with the staff. I mean, they fired a lot of their minor league coaches and a couple scouts here and there. I don't know the exact terms and what their roles were, but they did a couple of those. But on the major league roster, I actually have a hard time seeing them letting anybody else go. Maybe a bullpen coach, but really, is that going to make a big difference? No, the big difference is going to be made in this offseason when we're going in, making those free agent acquisitions and those trade acquisitions. So this was never the first domino that I predicted, but it's, I guess, a domino that was a problem with the hitting side of things. So the next move, what is it going to be? What do we think?
Here's the thing, right? It kind of feels to me like we might be doing all this a year behind, because this was... I remember after the offseason last year, after the playoffs, and we put up one run or whatever it was in the wild card series and got swept by the Minnesota Twins. I remember everyone screaming at the top of their lungs, get rid of Guillermo Martinez. And it felt like it should have been a given, right? It felt like, oh, okay, of course. Our offense was really, really bad this year. We couldn't score for shit, and our pitching was phenomenal, and we did nothing. They obviously didn't do that.
And we got worse.
Granted,
we didn't add anybody, so it's a lot of people's fault.
A lot of people's fault, yeah, exactly. But we were a year behind on that move. I don't know what the next move is going to be for this team. I would imagine that, it's probably going to be something minor, like, we relocated, the assistant to the assistant, bullpen nutritionist, and I don't know, right? Like whatever, and now he's going to be their baggage manager or something. Like that feels like what it's going to be.
Right.
What I do hope, though, is that we're not another year behind, because I don't want to watch a whole other offseason and trade deadline where, Ross Atkins is fucking it, and then it's, we fire him next offseason, or he doesn't get the contract extension or whatnot.
What's the equivalent to Guillermo Martinez to this year? It's Ross Atkins,
probably,
right? Because we were screaming at Guillermo Martinez, a year later fired. It could very well happen where Ross Atkins could be that guy, but he needs to start getting going on some of these for offseason stuff. Granted, free agency doesn't really open up, and trades don't open up until after the World Series, so he's got a month. So, there's some staff moves and roster moves that could be moved around and made, but the big move I think you got to get done, if possible, is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. getting extended to the Toronto Blue Jays.
You can still do that.
I believe
the case.
Someone let me know in the chat, because he's not an unrestricted free agent, so it's not like we're waiting for anything. I believe you could still get it done.
Again, I'm not sure all of the ongoings, because again, it's not free agency, but you should be able to, and at the very least, you should absolutely be able to negotiate and have all of these conversations done, so that if it did open up, for instance, in October, then I mean, it's pen to paper.
It's pen to paper. We get it done.
But yes, that of course needs to be like the next thing on the totem pole for the Toronto Blue Jays. But this was the first move, everybody. Let us know your thoughts about this in the comments down below. We see Waterflamer here just asking, will Atkins be gone, guys? It feels very unlikely at this point that is going to be the case. I think that if you were going to see that, you would have seen it along with the San Francisco Giants, along with this.
And again, shout out to Mike Taylor for subscribing to Blue Jays Today, guys. Put W's in the chat, by the way. But also, like this Wednesday, we have, if you guys already missed it, we have that press conference with Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins. They would not be doing a joint press conference if they were getting fired.
It would be kind of a wild one if that was the case.
Hey, entertain me though. Surprise me, boys. Sign your own resignations right there on the live stream.
It would be incredible. Speaking of that, everybody, on Wednesday, whenever it is scheduled, you can drop into Blue Jays Today. We're going to be live for that entire thing, reacting to it in the moment. Whatever they say, we're going to be here first, having a discussion about it and breaking it down. So stay tuned. Lots of content on the way. First move of hopefully many.
Let's go.
In what is going to be one hell of an offseason.
Let's go, guys. Before you go, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe to Blue Jays Today so you don't miss any future videos, guys. Thank you so much for watching.
And as always,
go Jays, go! Bye.